In the astrological wheel, there are 12 distinct signs, but only one of them gets to break the silence. Aries, known as Masham in Vedic astrology, is the pioneer. It is the absolute first sign, the initial spark that sets the entire 12-part cycle into motion. This position at the front of the line is powered by their foundational ruling element, fire, or Agni. Fire does not wait to be invited, and it does not map out a 10-year plan. It consumes and expands. This elemental baseline provides the Aries individual with a boundless, uncontainable enthusiasm for starting new things. But fire alone needs direction. That direction comes from their ruling planet, Mars. In astrological traditions, Mars, or Sevai, is the literal engine of war. It governs courage, physical endurance, and aggressive forward momentum. Combine that fire and warlike momentum, and you get a cardinal sign. In Vedic terms, this is a Sancharam sign. Cardinal simply means a quality of initiation. It dictates that the individual cannot remain static. They require constant, restless motion to feel aligned with their own nature. Every behavioral trait of an Aries individual, their most impressive superpowers and their most destructive fatal flaws, is a direct, logical result of this specific combination. They are a fire element forced into cardinal motion, driven by a planetary engine built for combat. Understanding an Aries means looking past standard personality labels. You are observing a literal force of nature, driven by immense planetary momentum that constantly demands to be managed. When you place a person with the psychological profile of the first sign into a group setting, a clear pattern emerges. They have an inherent, almost biological inability to follow someone else's lead. If a group is hesitating over a decision, the Aries will unpromptedly assume command. That command is fueled by raw boldness. For most people, the fear of confrontation or public failure acts as a heavy brake on action. The Mars energy inside an Aries effectively neutralizes that standard human fear. They do not run from friction, they walk directly into it. This lack of fear translates directly into how they communicate. An Aries practices a specific brand of honesty, direct and entirely unfiltered. No backbiting or gossip. They speak at face value, driven entirely by a desire for absolute efficiency rather than any personal malice. Because they do not waste time worrying about social friction or overanalyzing the risks, they process choices rapidly. This quick decision-making, combined with a fierce desire for independence, becomes their primary competitive edge in high-stakes, fast-moving environments. You can see this highly focused, courageous Aries energy manifesting in history's intellectual leaders. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar operated with the exact traits of a controlled Mars engine: unshakable integrity, direct confrontation of systemic issues, and the fearlessness required to draft a nation's constitution. In the physical arena, that relentless drive to conquer is just as visible. Sachin Tendulkar channeled this peak Aries competitive spirit. The desire to constantly push forward, to win, and to dominate the field is the cardinal fire element executing its purpose perfectly. When the Mars engine is highly focused and the fire is controlled, the Aries individual operates as a highly magnetic force of progress. They drag everyone else into the future with them. This split-screen logic model maps exactly what happens when that same Mars engine runs too hot. Without a steering mechanism, quick action easily slides over the line, morphing directly into blind haste and impulsive decision-making. As the internal heat and pressure of the fire element build up without an outlet, the systemic bugs of the Aries personality appear. Natural passion sours into quick-tempered anger and irritability. The confidence of leadership hardens into ego and arrogance. Then there's the paradox of their cardinal nature. Their constant need to initiate new motion physically prevents them from having the patience to finish what they start. The result is a fractured timeline littered with half-built projects and abandoned ideas. Operating at this high speed carries a heavy social cost: low empathy. Because an Aries outpaces the room, they become deeply frustrated by the slow progress of others. They struggle to understand why anyone would need time for emotional deliberation when there is work to be done. An Aries rarely loses to an external competitor. Their greatest enemy is almost always their own internal lack of friction, pacing, and patience. To fix these behavioral bugs, An Aries must intentionally cool their own engine. They have to actively introduce the one thing they hate most into their daily routine: friction. The most effective psychological remedy is a strict 24-hour pause. By forcing themselves to wait a full day before finalizing any major decision, they artificially regulate their hot-blooded nature and eliminate impulsive, costly errors. In Vedic astrology, this excess heat is recognized as a Mars dosha, a specific imbalance of aggressive energy. The traditional remedy is the worship of Anjaneyar, or Hanuman, particularly utilizing the color red. This practice directly balances the volatile Mars influence, grounding the individual's fiery nature. To permanently patch their inability to finish projects, an Aries requires structural accountability. This means utilizing partners who check their work, or maintaining highly visible goal tracking systems that refuse to let them abandon yesterday's task for tomorrow's thrill. When an Aries successfully implements these controls, the results are staggering. Look at Lady Gaga. She utilizes that raw, fearless creative fire, but sustains it with intense discipline, allowing her bold independence to dominate global culture for decades. Mariah Carey presents another clear example of this dynamic. She built an empire entirely on her own terms, proving that Aries' independence, when paired with the stamina to see the work through, results in massive artistic longevity. Once an Aries masters their own internal fire and weaponizes patience, their raw, chaotic potential crystallizes into an undeniable, lasting legacy. If you have this Mars energy in your chart, let us know in the comments how you manage your fire. Like, subscribe, and keep building your legacy.